Welcome to the Meltzone podcast from February 22nd, 2021. This is episode 43, and I'm Tom.
And I'm Stefan. And on today's episode, freebooting and stolen content. Tom's website was basically ripped and translated into another language for affiliate sales. My videos were stolen and put on Instagram. My videos were stolen and shots of it were used for Amazon sales, selling threaded inserts. Yeah, Chelsy's 3D models were sold without permission, and also Angus from Maker's Muse had some of his videos stolen and put under another name on Reddit for Reddit karma. Lots of interesting things to talk about, and what we could potentially do about that. Then we have a couple of corrections on the eco-friendly PLA topic. Then Prussia supposedly shipping to the UK again, and the discussion if tea bags made from PLA are plastic free and eco-friendly. And better than paper ones.
Eco-friendly teabagging sounds like the next big thing for Call of Duty. Next up, Creality supposedly shipping Trojans in their Ender 5 software suite. That's something that Make Magazine is reporting. There's another topic, or once again, there's a topic about a 3D printed home. Just a quick one. And 3 questions that we got from you guys. Could you print in an SLS process with PLA and PETG? Are there simulation methods for simulating FDM prints? And what are the criteria Stefan is using for his super fast 10-minute Benchy?
I'm looking really tired.
Don't worry. I look tired as well. And it is 7:55.
It is 7:55, and we have recorded the last couple of podcasts, I think mostly in the morning, which was really, really weird in some kind of way.
Yeah, because usually we used to do these after work for you or on your day off or something. And new times, new flexibilities.
New times.
And apparently flexibilities for other people to steal our stuff too.
Yes.
Damn it.
So, I don't know. I had the song lyrics. I had the lyrics of a German song in my head for a couple of days who totally described the problem. Do you know the German band Die Prinzen?
Yes.
Es ist alles nur geklaut, so everything is stolen. I don't know. I was just playing that in my head for the last couple of days. So for everyone who doesn't know Die Prinzen, probably a lot of you. German pop band, which was, I think, pretty popular in the 90s.
Yeah, with an emphasis on was.
I think they're not really popular anymore. And there is one song which is called Es ist alles nur geklaut, everything is stolen. And I think for the last 4 weeks, I had so many stuff happening in terms of freebooting and stealing my content, and also your content was stolen, and Chelsy's content was stolen, and Angus's content was stolen. So I guess let's dive right into freebooting.
What is freebooting? Right.
What is free?
What is freebooting? I guess to explain there. So let's start at the beginning. Stefan, you and me, we produce digital assets essentially. We produce videos. Other people produce 3D models. Then again, others produce anything digital, music, videos, models, has a copyright attached to it. Naturally, you don't have to register that. Just as the creator, you have the copyright to that. What is it? Geistige Eigentum. What's the
content? Yeah, well, your own property.
We were okay.
Intellectual property.
Yes. Your IP. We were just talking about how we're probably the number one podcast in the 3D printing space, and I'm starting to wonder how we got there. But yeah, whoever produces IP, intellectual property in any way, naturally owns the rights to that. And when you put that up on the internet, you don't forfeit those rights. You keep those. You still have the right to say, okay, you get to do this with the stuff that I post online, or you don't get to do this with the stuff that I don't post online. That's what we know as licenses. Some people choose to publish as Creative Commons, which has some rights or some restrictions lifted. Typically, when you publish a YouTube video or a song online, that's all rights reserved. So there are very limited fair use principles that can be that are applied to that if somebody else wants to use that, or they're going to have to license it. Now, in the age of the internet, where everything is anonymized and nobody is traceable with a real name and all that sort of stuff, people come along and they just take your content because they're like, well, what are you going to do? Take your content, they upload it to Instagram in your case, to advertise for their brand, be that a physical product that they're selling or a brand page, a brand persona that they're trying to promote. They post it onto Reddit just to get what's the Reddit currency of dopamine release?
Karma.
Karma, yes, to get karma on Reddit. Yet others, steal articles to SEO boost their website, and they're not paying for that. They're not putting any effort into it. Well, they're not. They might be putting some effort into it, but they are not creating that content. They're just taking somebody else's content who, somebody else who has worked to produce that, and they're taking that for free.
Yeah, and they're not crediting them because
that as well, yes.
Using it, I think, well, in the terms of fair use, is okay to some extent, but just not plainly copying everything and using that content to either earn money or earn karma, or I don't know, whatever they're doing with that. And yeah, as I said, that happened quite a bit to me as over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So
while you're thinking about that, let me just preface this with somebody else taking my stuff and selling it off as their own. Not cool. Somebody asking me to use my stuff in a presentation, in a study, in something educational, or even to report on it if you don't just copy the entire video or something. That's all okay. I get people asking me a ton, hey, I'm doing this paper on XY, can I reference your video? Sure, be my guest, absolutely okay. But when it comes to the point where it's for profit, hey, I want some of the profit if you're making it off of my work. Because I put the effort in and you didn't. No. That's as not as you, Stefan, but as in you out there who's stealing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So previously, I think YouTube had quite a bad reputation for uploading content that you just didn't own, and YouTube started way back in the days to add their content ID system.
Yeah.
So what basically happens if somebody uploads one of our videos or even just part of the video, that actually pops up in our copyright tab within YouTube. It's not always super accurate. I think they're not catching everything. But in the past, like regularly, every couple of months, just somebody took a whole video and uploaded it on their own channel to promote their own brand. And YouTube makes it quite easy. They recognize that it's your content, and you can just say, okay, file a content ID claim, and within like hours it was gone. Yeah. And you were notified like automatically. You didn't have to look for it.
Yeah, but that is a relatively recent addition that tool is available for smaller content creators. There's still the more powerful content ID that's available to music labels and film studios. So we get like a content ID Lite that we can use exclusively on YouTube. So if somebody uploads a YouTube video onto YouTube, that gets picked up.
Yeah. Okay. So what recently happened was I got a message from somebody, from a couple of guys, I think on Twitter. And they told me, hey, there is an Instagram channel who uploaded part of your video. And it was quite a big Instagram channel with, I think, 50,000 followers. And he just, put my video on his page and showed it to his viewers and didn't credit me.
Yeah. So was that for commercial gain or just for boosting the channel? I mean,
I think it was just for boosting the channel. Just, I don't know. I'm honestly not really sure how monetization on Instagram works, but I think I don't think you earn as much on Instagram, at least with like a medium or small size channel as you could on YouTube. But yeah, it was one of my nozzle cam videos. So it was a really satisfying video and people really liked it and engaged with the video. And I think at the time when I found it, it already had 50,000 views after a couple of hours. And I'm too nice of a guy. So I tried to reach out to the channel and said, hey, what the fuck? Can you please not upload or can you please delete my video? That's my content. After a day, he didn't respond to me. And I, for the first time, filed a copyright claim on Instagram. It's not as straightforward as on YouTube. But basically, you fill out a form and reference who you are and why this is your content, which is on that channel. And not even 48 hours later, the whole channel was deleted.
Okay, that's quite something. Apparently, they found. I mean, for one single infringement, I don't think they delete the whole channel. So maybe they look through it and like, well, this is all stolen stuff.
Yeah. So how it works on YouTube, there is a strike system. When you have the first copyright strike, you get limited with some features. At the second strike, I think you can't upload videos for a couple of days. And as soon as you have the third copyright strike, like your whole channel is gone. If you have a copyright strike, it will be like gone again after a certain amount of time. So. Yeah. But I don't know how it works on Instagram. But the interesting thing was that really, the channel was gone after 48 hours, and I don't know. I felt bad. I felt bad.
Why would you?
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm too nice of a guy. After a while, I realized, why should you feel bad? Because he just took your content. To be honest, I uploaded that content on Reddit under my name. Right. And he somehow just took it from there and put it on there. But the thing I want to talk about here is that I can still remember the moment before I wanted to put it on Reddit. And I had the video finished and I was just about to upload it. And I thought, why not put a watermark on there? Just because I really enjoyed the video. Yeah. Because it was like one of these typical oddly satisfying videos. Okay, so I went back into Resolve. I put a watermark in there, which was not really obviously visible. And this was one of the reasons why also a couple of other people contacted me and said, hey, isn't that your content that this guy is using?
Isn't that your logo in the video?
Yeah. So watermarking stuff, I think it was years ago when I heard either Destin from Smarter Every Day or Mark Rober talk about watermarking content. I think it was Destin with his high-speed shots.
Yeah. Oh, those are super shareable.
because he said that basically watermark everything that could be reused in some way out of context, because this is the only way how you can prevent it and how you can later easily tell that it was your content. And it was a lesson learned for me, and it worked out really well for that video. And if I will be doing something similar in the future, I'll be doing that as well.
Yeah, sure thing. But so you got that Instagram channel deleted, but did you get compensated for, whatever damage was done? Or, I mean,
no.
It is hard to put a value on, hey, is there a damage that is done to the original creator? Because it's digital content. It can be copied without, the original getting deteriorated, but it is deteriorating, or it is taking away from the views that you're getting on the original video potentially. And it is, profiting off of someone else's work, which is, yeah. But so it's basically just a slap. It's not even a slap on the wrist. It's more like, well, we're taking away your toy. Do whatever you want after this. Buy a new toy, make a new channel. What is stopping that person that uploaded your stuff and most likely uploaded lots of other people's stuff onto that channel and got that big from doing it again?
Well, he was kind of punished in a way that he lost 50,000 Instagram followers.
But those weren't legit followers. Like, he didn't work for that.
He worked for that in a way that he maybe part of his content was stolen from somebody else. I think there was probably also legitimate content from himself on the channel, but yeah, in the end, I think people still pour a lot of work in something like that. And what I'm always asking myself, if they are aware of that fact that they are doing something wrong and basically stealing content from somebody else, or did they grow up in a society where basically everything that is on the internet is free content and you can use it for everything you like? I don't know.
I mean, we grew up with, you and me, we're in the generation, we grew up with Emule and LimeWire and that sort of stuff. We have a understanding of at what point what you were doing was legal and at what point it was illegal. Yeah. So I guess we're kind of sensitized for that.
Yeah. We are sensitized for that, but I think the difference there is if you're using Emule and if you used Emule and LimeWire and stuff like that.
None of us did, by the way. But
never.
No.
You basically just stole something for yourself. You were not in the end maybe somewhere then selling fake DVDs and stuff like that. But I think you didn't feel that bad because it was digital content. Nobody really lost something. Maybe someone lost a sale that way. So but you didn't feel that bad. And what I want to say with that is, if you take something from somebody else and just put it on your channel and put it out there for a community of thousands, hundreds, thousands, millions and stuff like that, I would not have felt comfortable at my younger age downloading things from any torrent website and then building a shop in my town and selling fake or
but these people in that Instagram channel, he wasn't selling your stuff. He was just showing it. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
He wasn't selling your stuff. He was just showing it to more people. He was just sharing it with other folks.
He
wasn't charging them for it or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. In the end, I don't know how the monetization system on Instagram works. If you are a channel of a certain size, I think there are definitely ways to monetize, or maybe just to get free stuff. What we also get, even though that's not direct payment, it's still something that you gain from the status that you earned yourself.
Yeah. Instagram monetization, I believe, is mostly like product placements and brand deals. So
Yeah,
not like AdSense on YouTube, just, work with brands.
Yeah. So, of course, he might not be gaining anything financially in that way, but he still built his brand using my content. So,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
maybe to get back to the compensation thing. No, I didn't get compensated. I only got mentally compensated because he was deleted, and
right.
I felt bad, but I also felt good about that.
That compensation, that gets old fast.
That gets old fast, yeah, definitely. And I can't feed my family with that. This is also something where YouTube works quite well. Music labels still abuse the content ID and content claim system, but if somebody is stealing your video and he's making ad revenue with that, and you claim that video for yourself, you will get that ad revenue, which is...
I think that's a good way.
I think that's a good way, yeah. And I think you can even decide at that point, okay, do you allow the channel to keep that content on their channel and you just get the ad revenue, which might be also quite good because that's maybe he's maybe targeting an audience that you don't have. So yeah, why not? So again, I think YouTube is doing a pretty good job in that direction.
Yeah, but again, that they're kind of an arbiter here. They're not. This isn't what your legal options are essentially. So yeah, with both with your stuff being used on Instagram, or in that case, I'm looking at your screenshots here being used for Amazon product shots with the threaded inserts, or with basically my entire website being cloned. Most of the time, like the expected reaction to that is, hey, you send a DMCA claim and it gets taken down and that's it. So that so Germany and I think France, and which is my case here, does have a way to demand compensation for that. But in the US specifically, as far as I'm aware, the DMCA is just a strike system, more or less. I'm not a lawyer, but it's like, hey, it's literally that slap on the wrist. Not even that. It's like we're taking a toy where you can't use this content anymore. Stop doing that, and you can keep going on, the same way you were doing things.
And you would basically need to file a lawsuit to get compensated
in the US. I don't think if there is a way, or if that is even intended, though. Again, I'm on very thin ice here. I know for Germany at least, specifically when it comes to images or photos specifically, there is a table that you can reference for how much a photo is worth when it's used in a certain context. And in my case that I posted on Twitter about with Myron 3D, basically just copying my entire blog and copying other people's blog as well. That does add up when you have literally hundreds of articles with a dozen images each being straight copied. That's that's if that was properly compensated, that would bankrupt somebody for sure.
Yeah. Maybe just tell us a little bit what really happened to your website, because I don't know if everyone really has the context in that direction, because I think that's also a pretty interesting case.
I'm trying to get the autofocus to catch me again. Okay, it wants to focus on the mic. Okay, so I don't know how big of a website or channel this is. It's more like the very small fish here. But okay, Myron 3D. If you go to myron3d.com, it's an affiliate SEO website, basically a fake shop with a bunch of articles listed that all lead to an Amazon listing through affiliate links. We see those all the time. They're being hyped up as niche websites and like, whoa, this is the earn passive income, yada yada yada. get rich without no work scheme, basically. And attached to that affiliate spamming site, essentially, is a blog, they're calling it. And that blog basically consists of other people's blogs being copied together and machine translated into French, into the France language, being machine translated into French. And they basically ripped every single one of my articles. So I decided to have some fun and see like how quickly would they copy stuff, and I just posted stuff on my website and they picked it up within 12 hours or something. So now they have 2 big articles on there that says, hey, by the way, Myron3D is stealing content from toms3d.org. And yeah.
I just checked your link and it now says we're sorry for copying content from toms3d.org.
Yeah, I don't know how that got there because it's not on my website.
And I think your articles are actually deleted on there.
On the Myron site?
Yes. I'm just checking the archive and don't see anything from you anymore. So how did you?
No, it's I'm still seeing it. I'm still seeing the oh, hold on, the older stuff. Might be because I've not posted a full article in a while, but they're still there, as far as I know.
Yeah, it's still here.
Yeah.
Prusa mini review.
Exactly. Yeah, that's actually the newest article on my website.
Okay.
So yeah, it's one of those things again where you don't have a handle against this sort of stuff. Like I can't even get this taken down because they don't have an imprint, which is legally required in Germany and France. Their whois for their Myron3D domain is all redacted for privacy. Like what are you gonna do?
So basically, without a lawyer, probably a French lawyer, there is no real option for doing anything against that.
I did contact VBS, who some of you might know from the Article 13 discussions, that they were one of the big YouTube channels covering that stuff on YouTube. YouTube channels on YouTube, yeah. So Solmecke, his legal agency, whatever it's called. But I contacted them and they were like it's international and it's all redacted, and we, as a German lawyer, we can't really do much there. Like maybe get one in France, but
yeah.
It really is that, well, it's going to be so much effort to just get to who is actually stealing your stuff to take any recourse against them, where it's like, we have to put in so much work and legal work. Paying a lawyer costs you real money, where there's no guaranteed outcome.
Yeah.
I guess there is a loophole where their provider, Myron3D's provider, OVH, they are required to cooperate with me as the copyright owner, and if they don't do that, they can be held liable directly.
Okay.
So I'm trying that right now.
Okay. Do you? Well, I see a lot of AliExpress links on there. I think AliExpress doesn't really care, but Amazon is usually quite strict in that regard. Is there a way to try to contact Amazon and tell them, okay, this is a website that is using copyrighted content to get affiliate sales? Because Amazon is usually not cool about that.
Yeah, Amazon is very not cool about a lot of things, but there is no official form to report something like that. Somebody on Twitter told me, hey, they did report it to the Amazon affiliates team.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's just sending them an email and hoping for a reply.
I just checked your link again, and if you translate it, it was a mistake, and Myron3D takes full responsibility for it. Myron3D is prepared to give Thomas Saladerer 5,000 euros in compensation for each stolen post and an additional 5,000 euros to charity for each stolen post. So you got to be rich now.
Oh yeah, I sure hope they follow through on what they're saying here.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that they have realized their mistake and.
Yeah. So, but again, this just shows. I don't know. This is really criminal behavior, because again, he's just probably lying in that post. I don't know. Maybe you get a big paycheck in a couple of weeks and everything's fine. But in the end, this is just criminal behavior, using stolen content to make money. And it is kind of sad that there is no kind of easy way to stop something like that in the EU. If this would be a Chinese, Thailand, whatever website, yeah, of course, it's from France.
Yeah. You're like, and even if it was a German website, you are required to have an imprint. A lot of websites don't. You are required to provide some sort of contact me feature, and it's like just getting to the point where you have somebody to pin down for stealing stuff is so hard already.
Yeah.
Even if it, those laws are made, requiring people to have an imprint, those laws are made to have somebody responsible. And the thing is, we're playing by the rules. You and me, we have our website, we have the imprint, we have all the disclaimers in the world. And by having all that, we're not actually better off. We're just making ourselves more vulnerable. It's like, yeah, you play by the rules, you're just being punished for it. Anyways, I guess for the copyright topic to get this to keep moving forward here, Chelsy's post about her models being stolen and being sold.
The Bernie meme and the
what's the other one?
GameStonks.
Wall Street Bets.
Wall Street Bets.
So, as far as I understand it, this is somebody taking the models that Chelsy modeled up herself in record time, by the way. Very high quality models, great stuff. And is selling them. Is selling the physical prints or...
No, I think he was selling just the STLs. So she released them for free, but non-commercial. So
yeah, like we started. You can attach any clauses, any conditions to stuff you release on the internet.
Yeah, and he was basically just taking the models and reselling them. And I think that happens reselling them on Etsy. And I think there are many cases where things like that happen, or people grab models from Thingiverse that are non-commercial and selling the physical prints of them, which is also not okay. If you don't have the okay from the owner.
Well, the thing is, selling a physical print of an STL, it's, from what I understand, it's a bit of a gray area, because it's like it's a transformation and it's like you can't copyright bits. That's like the argumentation that you hear from the people doing it. I'm transforming a file, and by US law, if you transform something, it's not like I'm not selling the STL, I'm selling a transformation of the STL. No matter if that's legally okay or not, you're still being an asshole by doing it. And by not at least reaching out to the original creator and saying, hey, I want to sell your stuff. Would you be able to license this to me for a small fee per model? Like, that's one super easy way to work things out. And you're not just add that license fee to whatever you're charging and you're golden.
Yeah.
Again, go ahead.
Watermark. It doesn't prevent that, but at least in the end, you can more easily prove that something like that happened and that it is your content.
Yeah. It's, again, you don't get any compensation for people stealing your stuff. It's just you just try to... The thing that really pisses me off about, that entire model stealing thing, because this is not the first time we've seen it, is always the attitude that the thief goes about it. It's like, well, you put it out on the internet, you should have expected this. I downloaded it for free, so I can use it in whatever way I want. And it's you just want to punch something when you hear that. Something or someone. Yeah, and it's the same with Chelsea's case here. Basically, the person saying, well, as far as I'm aware, it's in the public domain, and then comes up with a bullshit story like, yeah, this has been given to me, saying there's no restrictions applied to it by someone, which, yeah.
Yeah. If you listeners just come across something you think might belong to anyone in the community and is used for a similar purpose, it's always a good thing to just reach out to them and ask them, hey, I've seen something. This can help us, remain self-sustainable, because in the end, we produce content to, in the end, also earn something from that, because it's our income. And if people are just using that stuff for free and using, and earning money for themselves with it, and even like taking views away from your stuff, it's hurting us as well.
Yeah, because I mean, on YouTube we have obviously we have AdSense for just ads on the videos. Those make us money. YouTube Premium subscribers. Somebody asked me about that on Twitter actually recently. Creators actually earn more when somebody with premium watches their content versus somebody without premium and ads watching this stuff. So if somebody with premium watches it, that gets credited to us as well. And also we have Patreon, we have affiliate links, we have all that stuff on the videos that helps us make an income off of this stuff and make a living off of it, basically. So yeah, it's even though it's free to watch on YouTube. It is like YouTube doesn't charge you to watch the videos, and we don't charge you to watch our videos. Yeah. There's still a value for it to be on YouTube and to be watched on YouTube. So, yeah.
Do you finally have YouTube Premium?
Oh, I thought about it again yesterday, and I was like, oh, God, I gotta pull the trigger. They actually, you know what? They should give YouTube creators, like if you're past, I don't know, 100K or something, that they should just give them YouTube Premium. Let's go like, hey, we appreciate your work on the platform. Spend some more time on YouTube, please.
It's tax deductible.
What?
Tom?
How?
Well, I at least deducted from my taxes, because I, of course, need to be a YouTube Premium member to watch other content without ad breaks.
For research.
For be more efficient.
Okay.
And YouTube, well, if you already have Spotify, you don't need it, but YouTube Music, even though the playlists are not that good, you also have like a full music streaming service.
Is there that there should be a YouTube Premium affiliate program? I feel like Amazon has for Prime. Yeah. Amazon pays like what, $3 $5 per Prime trial, even if you don't pay anything. Hey, remember to put the Amazon Prime trial in the in the show notes today. Yeah, so even if you get an Amazon Prime trial and you don't pay anything for it, the affiliate still gets something for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have Spotify family, so there's 5 accounts attached to it, so that makes a lot of sense. But yeah,
okay,
Premium. Guys, get Premium if you hate ads. Or use AdBlock. Like I use AdBlock on the desktop too, so it's not a huge deal there.
Yeah, well, I watch a lot of videos on mobile devices, and I've been paying for YouTube Premium for years and don't regret it, just because I hate watching ads. Sorry that I put ads on my videos, but
you gotta do what you gotta do.
No.
Again, I don't blame anyone who watches my stuff with AdBlock enabled on desktop. Like I do it too. It's okay. You still watch the videos. You still give it the views. That's worth something too. But yeah, on mobile and on the TV and with the YouTube app, it's too many ads. And it supports the creators better than the ads do too. So yeah, gotta get the premium.
Yeah. It would be interesting. So I'm currently taking a look at my YouTube revenue of the last month, and yeah, almost 10% of the revenue comes from YouTube Premium, and I'm quite sure that not 10% of the viewers.
Yeah, you can go premium. In and you can do CPM on monetized views and on Prime views. Not Prime views.
Premium.
Prime's Twitch, sorry. Okay. And Amazon. Whatever. Let's do some so I guess we've got the copyright thing done. Anything we missed?
No.
Okay.
So
okay.
Hope that it's not continuing that way.
Discuss that to death. I've got a correction to make from last week's video because you forgot to put that in the show notes. Sorry, I may have put that in too late. But the question about is PLA eco-friendly was Agustin Arroyo and not Simon Fontana. I credited that to Simon, unfortunately. Agustin Arroyo, that guy, he posted, I remember he posted once, hey, by the way, I have a real name, which is Agustin Arroyo, aka Floralistique. I've always called him Augustin Floralistique because that was his name he was publishing stuff under. And I thought, like, well, it's a fancy last name. I'll just go with it. Yeah, Agustin Arroyo. Low poly Pokemon, still his most iconic designs, I think. So yeah, to follow up in the footsteps of the is PLA eco-friendly question, we did get a tweet at us from Andy Spoo about Yorkshire Tea shipping their tea in PLA tea bags essentially. And Andy commented something like, you're moving the link. I was gonna click that. We're using Google Docs here, by the way, for our show notes. He commented, hey, that they're moving to PLA tea bags because they say it's eco-friendly, but Andy's not convinced. It may be better than petroleum-based plastic, but it still fills landfills and creates microplastics. Sounds like a marketing ploy to me. So that was he put up the Yorkshire tea as an example and not as a, just saying. Okay, so yeah.
Does PLA, if you commercially compost it, create microplastic? So what does composting mean? Does composting just mean everything breaks to tiny bits that you can't separate them anymore from the dirt that's around it? Or does this mean it breaks basically down to its basic
chemical compounds,
something.
And that is actually something.
Does it make that eco-friendly again, or is that stuff then harmless?
Okay, that's quite a few details to that question. But yeah, that first point, does it just break down? Does it just break down into smaller and smaller particles? That's something that I've wondered about with PLA as well, because like the composting, you put it into an industrial composter where PLA does get composted. But does that just mean it is actually just becoming small particles that you don't see anymore? I do not know. So far I've always thought it actually gets composted into compost, into usable soil-like matter again. So the composting itself is microorganisms actually eating up your input matter and it's outputting it into whatever they're excreting, that is then able to be used by plants, other organisms as food again. That is a great question.
I don't know either. It would be interesting. It would be really interesting to know, because if normal plastic breaks down via UV light and creates microplastic. Is that in the end the same, or is there a proper definition?
Yeah.
There is probably a.
So with PLA actually supposedly being compostable, as in digestible by microorganisms, I would assume that as it breaks down, or if it breaks down into microplastic, that just increases its surface area so much that it now is much, much easier for microorganisms to get in and digest whatever they can digest in that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for PLA microplastic to be an issue, it would need to be non-compostable. Would be my take. As far as it filling up landfills, I mean, your tea bags you have in your biomill. Well, I guess some countries don't have trash separation, so. But
if you use paper, this is also additional mass that lands in the landfills. Though it is a more primary like source of materials, like the PLA that's made also from starches, but way more processed.
Note about landfills though. I'm not 100% certain on the ratios here, but a lot of the trash that is collected here, at least in Germany, is actually being burned for energy. So it's being put into, I guess, what used to be coal power plants and stuff, or specific trash burning power plants, and it's being converted into electricity. At that stage, considering that PLA is made from a biomaterial, from a starch that does take up carbon while it's growing, theoretically it should be carbon neutral-ish. Like, obviously the production of PLA does have its own emissions, so at least on the carbon side, PLA would be much better than using a
petroleum-based polymer.
Yeah, but it is definitely still worse than using the filter fabric paper-based tea bags. I do assume that is paper, or is it some sort of autofocus? Come on. Is it some sort of cloth material? More.
I have asked myself the same thing again. Why my toilet paper just disintegrates as soon as it touches water, and why a tea bag is able to hold its shape and also still have some kind of strength when it was submerged for a certain amount of time in the hot tea water. I guess it's just long fibers.
Because it's the same with this stuff. What is this called in English even? Paper towels. Paper towels. Look the same as white toilet paper or American sized toilet paper, but it's just longer fibers that don't break apart so easily. So tea bags probably the same thing. So PLA probably worse than traditional tea bags. Why do they have to? I mean, the Yorkshire tea are those like double triangular.
Yeah, the tetrahedron shaped ones.
Why? Why do you use those tea bags in the first place? Just be a civilized person and use loose tea.
No, don't use those mesh sieves. They're horrible.
Why?
Because like the size, the hole size in your metal sieve is so big that a lot of the small particles.
Okay, yes. So for hold on, we can actually, the autofocus should work here. I'm hoping. No, yes. So you can see there is some particle matter in there, Stefan. Sorry, you can see that right now, but because this is honeybush, so it's a lot. It's tree bark. But if you have actual like green or black tea made from not just the dust they collect at the bottom of the factory, those tea leaves are big enough to be caught in here quite well.
I used to drink a lot of black tea and not just the cheap stuff. And I was experimenting a lot and searched a long time for a proper tea sieve. And all of the mesh ones, or at least the usual mesh ones, they were always way too coarse. And I ended up getting it's part injection molded, part a really, really fine sieve from Teak Schwentner, which is great because even the really fine particles, they don't end up in your tea in the end. And this is especially interesting if you're only making yourself like 1 cup of tea.
Right. I do have those metal sieves from Schwentner as well, but they're laser punched, laser engraved or something, right? Those little perforations in just, it's basically a stainless sheet wrapped and then little tiny holes punched to it.
I think mine was also like a cloth, but way finer than the standard stainless steel ones that you get from others. Yeah, well, I don't know. Just my experience.
Like $4.99.
Yeah. Maybe to get back to the question, why are plastic bags better than the paper ones?
Are they? Oh, for functionality, right?
For functionality. The plastic, I think the plastic tea bags, they have bigger holes and allow the water to just like get into the tea and away from the tea way more efficiently than the really fine paper mesh that you have.
And I guess it also allows the tea leaves to float around a bit. It gives it a bit of space instead of being constrained.
Yeah. There should be also the option to make at least the same shape with paper, but there has been a trend for a couple of years ago where those pyramid shaped tea bags were so popular because they were way better for the aroma. Maybe in the end it's just marketing shenanigans.
I would guess so. Show me a double-blind test that confirms that, and I'll believe you. But unless you do, it's like, yeah. But and also I'll keep using my metal sieves because they work for me.
If they work for you, that's fine. Won't force you into buying new stuff. Okay.
Yeah, got enough tea accessories already.
I should also start drinking more tea again. Coffee is just, it's too much of a high for too short of a time. Black tea was always treating me better, and also but let's continue on the topics.
Just one last note. Tea World, shop that I can highly recommend. I bought my honey bush and a ton of black and green teas. They're all very good stuff. They're actually not that far from me. They're like an hour from me. So
okay,
cool.
You can't just visit them at them. Well, okay. Maybe just another short correction, because I think we last time talked about Brexit and things involved with that and import taxes, and there was a time when Prussia wasn't shipping to the UK, but supposedly they shipped to the UK again. So you can buy more Prussia mint and
original
printers.
Prusa 3D printers by Joseph Prusa.
Yeah, if you have some time to wait, you can also buy printers. Well, but I think the Mark IIIs are only 3 or 4 weeks currently back order, but a Mini is 11, 12 weeks.
Yeah. I think the Mark IIIs were even in stock at some point around New Year's.
Okay.
Wow.
It's kind of sad because, well, I'm really impatient. When I order something, I would like to have it right away, and if you have to wait for such a long amount of time, you just potentially run into the point where you read something bad about the product and you question all your decisions that you made a couple of weeks back.
I think there are actually two points to this, or two aspects to this. Yes, the point that the longer you have to wait for something, the less you want it, which is actually something that I'm running into a lot with ordering stuff from China, when it's just, hey, you're trying to build something and you're ordering, I don't know, a sensor or a bearing or whatever from China, and it's like, well, this might be 4 to 8 weeks until it gets there, and your project's just on hold until then. That sucks. But the other point to that is, which has been a study, by the way, shout out to the Mincorrect podcast, a study on, well, I'm hoping I'm reciting this correctly, how a vacation makes you happy. And there are, four kind of distinct stages to a vacation that all get you that relaxing effect. The first one, the planning. The second one, the anticipation. The third one, the actual vacation. And then the fourth one, of course, having the memories and photos and stuff to relive that experience. So I don't know, maybe by extending that anticipation stage, a Prusa buyer is actually happier in the end. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's better if you don't get something and you're overhyped, and yeah, maybe expect more than it really delivers in the end. It's better to wait a bit of time and you're not anticipating it that much anymore, and it's more smoothly going. I don't know, but yeah. Speaking of China imports, did you know that so in Germany there is a Zollfreigrenze, an import tax free allowance.
Yeah.
So I think everything that is below $30 declared value, including shipping and everything that's connected to it.
Few different ones. One's for actually having value-added tax, which is I think 20. It used to be 25 at least, and then there's the actual Zollgebühr, the actual imports fee, which is 150-ish or something. Okay,
but basically anything that you purchase and is around $20 to $30 usually did not have to pay any import taxes and value tax on it.
Yeah.
And in Germany, they are going to change that by the mid of this year, and you will need to pay import taxes from the first cent of value onwards. I think there's still as far as I have read it, an allowance if that's what you need to pay is less than $5. It's also okay again, but there's no import tax allowance anymore, which I don't know. I think for once will make quite a lot of work for our import department.
So I as far as I'm aware, that same, if it's less than X amount, we're not charging it. And that's the same thing that has led to that 30 or 25 euro allowance for VAT not being claimed. So really not much is going to change in that regard, right? Because it's still, if you're saying, okay, VAT is 19% currently, that is still math. It's still $25, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So untaxed value of $25, that is exactly the same we have today.
At least something changes, and yeah.
I mean, if there's something that is going to make importing or buying on AliExpress a pain, because I know how much of an issue or how much of an effort it is to pick up something from the customs office. Like, you have to print out the invoice you got, which usually you don't have. You have to print out like your payment receipt, an article description, a listing of, okay, you paid this much, the shipping was this much, etc., etc. And then for me, it's like a half-hour drive to even get there, because you can't mail it in, or you can't send it via email, because like, what year do we live in? You know, if it just makes it more effort to buy stuff, that sucks. On the other hand, if for example DHL does the importing for you, they're going to charge you €12.50 for each shipment that comes in. Doesn't matter if it's just 20 cents of import fees that they're charging, but you know, they had to do the paperwork for you, so they're going to charge you for it.
Yeah. I think for me as a business, it's not that bad, because I'm always happy if DHL does all of that stuff and I don't need to worry about anything and just pay for it in the end. But as a private person, or if you order a lot of stuff, that can pile up and might prevent you from ordering stuff from Far East. I don't know if that was really the reason behind that new regulation. But we'll see.
It's Germany doing its trade war thing with China.
Yeah.
Don't think so. On the topic of China and importing 3D printers, there's been a article from Heise that claims that the Ender 3 SD card file.zip that Creality is providing for their Ender 5 contains or at least registers as a Trojan with Microsoft Defender. So it's saying this is Okami C9C or severe threat or Kanteban.org !ml Trojan script. I mean, could be a false positive, could be something that slipped up at Creality, could be something that's in there intentional. The thing is, we don't know much about it yet, but in general, when you're running software that comes on an SD card, or when you're running any software from a company that you don't fully trust, just be careful. Maybe don't run it on the same laptop that you have your company details on or your company access stuff on it.
But in the end, people are lazy.
Well, I'm gonna hold it up again, but there's my run everything that comes on an SD card computer that is literally doing just that, and is even HDMI out to the capture card for live streams. So this has nothing on it, and this gets all the questionable software that manufacturers like to include.
Yeah, it's probably a smart move,
but not something that everyone can do.
Yeah, the article was released just this morning, shortly after midnight, and they also said that they asked Creality for a statement, but so far they haven't received any statement. So yeah, just be aware if you are thinking about downloading the SD card files for your Ender 5 from the Creality website.
There's one tangent that I wanted to bring up for this in general is, why don't manufacturers just put their profiles into like the real software, the real Cura? Because I mean this is Cura, right? This is Creality's skinned version of Cura, essentially. Creality didn't improve anything in Cura. They didn't add any features. They didn't fix any bugs. It is literally just Cura taken. They searched and replaced Ultimaker with Creality, and they added a new graphic for the splash screen, and that's it. That is Creality Cura, and of course they added their profiles. But there's nothing stopping them from adding it into the official Ultimaker Cura. I do believe they take submissions. Just like Prusa Slice, it does take submissions for manufacturers that want to provide their printers profiles. Why do you need to create your own forked version of that software when you're not adding anything that you couldn't do by contributing to the mainline project? Because I mean, with having your own version, what you're doing to your customers, you're giving them something that's going to go out of date, that's going to be that's not going to be maintained, that eventually or possibly is going to even have security flaws that are not going to get patched unless you, as the one who created your own branded version of it, is actually maintaining it, which probably isn't going to happen to the extent that the original developer would do. So just my suggestion to manufacturers, just put the effort in. It's not even that much more effort. It's not even more effort. Be lazy. Be lazy even. And just put your profiles in Prusa Slicer or Ultimaker Cura. It just makes for a better experience for the end user. It makes your life easier. The only thing you're giving up is you're not having a pseudo-branded piece of software that you can deliver.
Yeah. Don't understand it either. But yeah.
I think it's just the pride that it's like, our printer runs with Ultimaker Cura or with Prusa Slicer. No.
Creality Slicer.
Runs with Creality Slicer. I mean, Creality Slicer is good for what it is right now. It's what I use with the Ender 3v2 because it has the profiles in there. But if you gave me the choice, do you want to use Creality branded Cura or do you want to use Prusa Slicer with an official Creality profile? I would go for Prusa Slicer every single time.
Yeah, or just like the most recent version of Cura.
Yeah, same thing.
I tried to download Creality Slicer a couple of weeks ago, and it is really hard to find. I think maybe I'm stupid and I didn't properly, didn't find the right link. But the only way I was able to download Creality Slicer was downloading the SD card files for my Ender 3 Pro. So the interesting thing there is that you have all of this redundancy, that there is one version of Creality Slicer in that SD card zip file. There is another one in the end, they probably don't maintain it, but why don't they just have like one download link that is always the latest version and is easily accessible? I just don't understand it.
Also, one thing I actually ran into with the Elegoo Neptune 2 that I unboxed a week ago is they also have their own Elegoo slicer, which is Cura 4. I don't know what Cura numbers we're on. But Elegoo slicer actually conflicts with Creality slicer because it's using the same config directory that has not been changed from mainline Cura. So now Elegoo slicer is opening up and it's saying like, hey, I detected these 4 broken profiles for Creality Ender 3v2 and Creality Ender 3 and Creality. The Creality belt slicer is actually good about that, but like it doesn't work together. So I'm sure the next time I'm opening up a Creality slicer, it's going to be like, hey, I detected these profiles for Elegoo Neptune that's broken. Would you like to delete these? Yeah, it's stuff like that where it's they're forking it, but they're not doing it properly. You could give it its own config directory, but they didn't. So yeah, creating issues that don't need to exist.
Yeah. All right. Shall we talk about that, or shall we go to the?
So we have a topic in here that's first 3D printed home goes up for sale, but I was just gonna rant about it and go like, hey, like what did I just do? I was gonna rant about it and go like, hey, they're basically building the outer stud frame walls of a US style bungalow home with a 3D print, and it's like, dude, that's the easiest part of a US stud frame house to build. Like, why would you want to 3D print that? That's like that goes up with 2 people in 2 days. Why use tons of concrete for this when you can use, a pile of lumber and some plywood? 3D printed houses, I still don't.
I still need to visit the house near Ulm, which is like 1 hour drive from me and probably 2 hours drive from you. I have recently even seen it on TV, and on the inside it looks pretty interesting. They will put stuck on the wall. Stucco on most of the walls, but some of the walls will remain as printed.
Nice.
So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting piece of art, and it would have been interesting to take a look at it during the printing process.
Yeah, but due
COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so for that sort of stuff where you actually do unique stuff with 3D printing that you couldn't do with a stud framed wall, fantastic. Probably great application, but literally what is posted here on 3dprinting.com is it's basically a US kit home that's like so mundane, so unspecial that it's like there is nothing that 3D printing did to this or added to this, and again, it is probably way easier and way more effective to build it traditionally, because the system that the US builds houses it is optimized for being fast and cheap, and you replace the fast and cheap part with something that you think is innovative, you're not gonna be very good at it.
But you have concrete walls.
Honestly, if I were to build a house, I would do a stick frame build. Because if you do that properly, even in tornado zones, if you tie it down, with more than what code requires, because code is really just the worst possible way you're allowed to build something. If you tie it down, not a problem, and you can insulate sparse stud frame walls. You can insulate those really well too. Mm-hmm. It's like,
I don't know. It's just if I would have the choice, in the end, same amount of money, like a brick house or a wood frame house, I would probably go for the brick house, because just from my inner feelings, stone feels better made for the future. And with having a wood house and plenty of insulation house, I would always be kind of scared of that thing rotting away.
If it's built properly, like
if it's built properly, but then you need to do it in the then you probably need to do it on your own in the end, because otherwise you need to trust somebody. Then
two things I find fascinating about the typical stud frame walls or stud frame built houses is, first of all, your walls are empty, which means you can run new stuff in them, as in new wires or new conduit, ventilation, whatever you want to run in there. You can do that, whereas with a brick house, that is not just a huge mess, but also most of the time impossible. And also you can change the layout. For example, this house that I'm in the basement of right now was built in 1988, 89, and it's got a layout from that time, which means lots of rooms that are maybe a bit small, and the upstairs where I live is, has a large hallway that's not used for anything. It's a rather small kitchen, 2 small rooms in the back, and 1 living room that's divided up by the chimney in the middle, so that space is kind of borked too. With a stud frame wall house, you could just, take out a couple walls and be like, well, I'm changing this up, in a month or so, this is all going to look way different. And, with brick, most of that stuff is load carrying and,
Yeah. Probably right about that. Yeah, there are pros and cons for both sides. I think in the end, they can both do equally well, and you got to decide which is what is more important for you. Our house is now basically all the lower part is brick walls, and everything which is new now is also just wood frame, wood studs. And even though it was really cold outside the last couple of days,
you're wearing a t-shirt right now.
I basically didn't have to heat in here. The insulation, there's 40-50 centimeters of insulation on my roof. I'm excited to see how it's going to be in the summer, but the winter so far was doing pretty good.
Yeah. Oh well, 3D printed house. Okay, that's die Kudos aufgetrieben once again. So let's do some questions. Let's try and blaze through these. We're at 1 hour 13. I guess a bit less for you guys because we like to ramble a bit before we start. Paul, were you going to read that?
Paul Dominguez Guterres is asking, how about printing PLA or PETG powder? Just curious. I think he is referencing our discussion on SLS 3D printing, so laser sintering, where usually nylon powder is used. I don't know why PETG or PLA powder is not used in that case. Probably because, PLA is used in FDM 3D printing because it just works so well in that application. Similar thing to PETG. In the end, if you have a machine that's horribly expensive, why not use proper materials on it? I don't know. Maybe it's depending on the process.
Yeah, so for the plastic laser sintering printers, is there any other material option outside of nylon right now?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
There is PEEK. There is the Eagly Dual material, the bearing material. Right. Let me just check the EOS homepage.
I mean, I would think PLA would not be your prime choice because it's just by the properties of how it melts and at which point it gets soft. It might be a bit too low of a melting point, or what's the, not the glass transition to the proper one. Anyways, the temperature where it gets soft probably is too low for the SLS printing process that works for nylons. And I guess you do need you can't print with super rigid materials because you're going to get internal stresses. So you want something that is like slightly elastic, like a nylon, for it to not, deform too much and work too much during the printing process.
So EOS, which is one of the market leaders in SLS 3D printing, they are selling PAEK, which is
PEK
kind of similar to PEEK, just a little bit different. PA11, PA12, so the usual nylons. TPE, which is just also really interesting. Well, as using TPE in SLS 3D printing gives you quite interesting possibilities due to the flexibility of the material. Polystyrol, don't really understand that, to be honest. I don't know, maybe there are specific applications for that. And then there is PP polypropylene, which I understand again in a way because it's very chemically resistant.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess PETG might be an option.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know, there might not be a market for it.
Yeah.
If you have all these other materials. The thing is also with these, well, I don't know how much it is for the plastics used, but SLS and SLM processes, your material cost is not the raw bulk cost of your material. It is actually the process of getting it into a usable shape, as in a powder that is very consistent in particle shapes and sizes. That is the expensive part about your material. You're not paying for a block of nylon, you're paying for nylon in powder form specifically. So going for a supposedly cheaper material like PETG might not be worth it.
Yeah.
And PLA, honestly, if you had the choice, it doesn't really have any favorable properties other than being a starch-based material.
And being really strong.
Oh yeah, well that too, especially when it's heat treated, which is what like those one-time use forks and knives are made out of.
Yeah.
Steen van der Spel is asking, a 10-minute Benchy sounds as hold on. A 10-minute Benchy sounds as a good use case or opportunity of thermo or thermo-mechanical modeling. My question, do you think or know if it's possible to simulate the 3D printing of a Benchy? If it's possible, are there programs, software, code that can do that are available and are financially accessible for makers? So, fantastic question and fantastic topic. Is there a software that can dynamically model and simulate the temperature or the energy deposition you have with fresh filament and how it's being conducted into the rest of your part and how it's being convected away from the part with cooling? It sounds pretty computationally intense, to be honest.
So I know these types of softwares from metal 3D printing, where it is used in the first application to simulate the stresses and the distortion of the part, where you don't really model the process very precisely, but you basically do calibration part, measure how much that deforms, and then use that deformation to calibrate your model, which works quite okay.
There's also on that topic. There's also from Angus, our big guys in that. As far as I'm aware, that they also do the reverse, basically, where you pre-deform your model in the opposite direction, then print it, and because of these stresses in the parts, it pulls itself back into the shape. So that's a really cool approach.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why this is used, because especially with metal 3D printing, there is a significant amount of distortion during the process. And if you want to have a part in the end that has proper and precise dimensions, you either need to print your part out, measure, 3D scan it, and then do this pre-distortion, or use simulation in front of each process. Take your STL in there, simulate the process itself, distort your STL, and basically print a crooked model and end up with a straight part.
Yeah,
which works surprisingly well for not every application, but for quite a lot of applications. Then there is the possibility to go one step further, because this is a purely mechanical simulation. The one step further is a either only thermal simulation, where you are interested in finding hotspots in your part. So you basically simulate your part in a way that you put each layer of material on your model at once and see just how it cools down, where you have certain areas in your part where you don't have, where maybe a lot of energy is just concentrated. For metal, that means that you can also get distortions, but also the grains and things like that can be different. So the mechanical properties are different at that locations. This is, I think, something where Stin is looking for, because or interested in, because also for FDM 3D printing, it would be interesting. Are there certain locations on your part where your material stays soft for a longer amount of time because cooling is not sufficient, or you don't give it enough time to cool down, and therefore you get badly looking overhangs? There is software to do that. There is commercial software to do that, but that's usually horribly expensive.
For FDM processes already?
I think you could apply these measures in some way also in FDM 3D prints. There is the possibility to simulate DED 3D printing, direct energy deposition. So wire arc 3D printing, or laser and then a powder nozzle, where you do that on a robot. We do exactly that simulation as well to predict hotspots, to predict distortions and things like that. But again, I don't know any like free packages. There aren't. To be honest, I haven't worked with a lot of free simulation packages in the past. Okay. So, and I wouldn't know that there is anyone where something like that is integrated. So yeah, I think it's not really accessible for makers at the moment. There is, and I also used that in my last video, the ANSYS student version. And kudos to ANSYS, they quadrupled the size of the models that you can simulate in there. So you can now do kind of big simulations in there, where you, if you know how the software works, could quite easily set up a model in there and take a look at those things. But in the end, the question is, how do you benefit from them if you don't have a feedback loop, for example, in your slicer? Yeah. I think this is something which might be interesting for the future, where you use these technologies for safety critical parts, because quality assurance and quality control is something that is not fully developed in general in 3D printing, but I think especially in FDM 3D printing, because this is, I think, most prominently a technology for makers and not really like production parts. Yeah. There isn't a lot of automatic quality assurance done at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, think about what would need to go into such a simulation process. It doesn't feel like it would be a very complex setup that you'd need. Probably, as somebody who has never programmed software for numerical simulations like that, I'm probably horribly wrong. But it's like, well, you get your 3D model, you could grab that out of Prusa Slicer, right? Dynamically produces 3D models as the print goes on. You spawn your new geometry with a certain temperature. You have your transfer into the existing. You have your blowing. It seems like it's something that could be done. And I know there are some packages out there that do open source packages that can do simulation like that. It's just, how do you interface with that? And that is probably the challenging bit. But yeah, what do you learn from that? You don't have to print it to see where it melts down.
Yeah. There aren't a lot of tools around yet for, in general, simulating FDM 3D prints, because, well, I also did in the past just normal like strength simulations of FDM parts, but considering infill pattern and density and things like that, things get complicated quite quickly. And so far there is only one product out there. I don't remember its name, but there is it's basically a plugin for Cura, which has an interesting approach, because you take your STL model and basically say, okay, this is my boundary conditions. I basically fix it to the floor right here and apply forces at certain areas of the part in specific directions. And what it will do, it will calculate with probably given boundary conditions, optimal infill pattern densities at specific locations of the parts. I think in the end, it just places mesh modifiers in there. So it's not hugely complex.
But it's like a topology optimization approach, I guess.
In a way, yeah. Unfortunately, it's not free. I have to be totally honest. I was given a trial subscription for that like 2 months ago, and I haven't tried it out so far. I'm really sorry.
Well,
and just didn't get around to that. But yeah, this is the only integration I know at the moment.
It's something, but it's not exactly what was what Stein is asking for here. But yeah,
it goes in a similar direction.
Yeah. But whatever way that could a thermal simulation could be implemented, it is probably going to be very compute intensive.
Yeah.
Just if you're simulating every little infill vertex, and it's just so much more detailed than just a shell out of a solid part.
But that is the reason why also, if you do simulations for like metal 3D printing parts, you don't simulate each vector that the laser is doing, and you don't even simulate each layer of the part. You really make an approach where you add a certain amount of layers at once, just to have the possibility to calculate one of these models, for example, overnight, because otherwise it's not really useful in an industrial application if your simulation model runs for 2 weeks.
Obviously. Yeah. Is that GPU accelerated?
Partly. Yeah, it depends on the software. Some are GPU accelerated. Some others that are maybe a little bit older still use just the CPU.
Okay. Not that
if you're interested
GPUs.
In that, listeners, check out Emphion from Additive Works. Really nice guys from Bremen in Germany. Really interesting metal simulation tool. It's not cheap, but if you are in metal 3D printing, you might still be able to calculate a return of investment.
Yeah. If it
shout out to Jon. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm not going to stretch the topic anymore. Okay. I guess tying into that, let's do the last question. Dustin Speed is asking about the 10-minute Benchy. What are your criteria for the Benchy? Like, what are you looking for in a good Benchy? And what layer height? How many shells? Dustin's looking for a challenge. Like that's something that at Earth has been done where it was like, okay, you get, I think there was a 30-minute and a 1-hour challenge where you get that amount of time, and a judge has to be there to start your print, and a judge has to be there for you to take it off of the off of the printer, and it was then judged on, how good does it look, and is it strong, is it dimensionally accurate, etc., etc. So, Stefan, what are you looking for when you push the speed of a Benchy? I've seen the first one you did, and that was a Benchy, yes, but not a particularly good one.
So I didn't point out any rules for that, but I have seen at the end of last year and for the last 2 months a video series called, or at least tagged with hashtag Speedboat Challenge on YouTube, where people from the community posted their speed benches with a at least somehow outlined set of rules. So you must use a specific range of materials. The layer height was specified and things like that. I still need to dig deeper into that as soon as I find the time and tackle that. But I think using those rules, the time now for the fastest 3D Benchy got down to 6.5 or even 5 minutes on a Delta printer. And the print in the end, of course, it doesn't look super beautiful, but everyone who has ever seen a Benchy could say, okay, yeah, this was a Benchy. The chimney doesn't look nice, but the rest of the part can be printed really, really nicely, even in just 6 minutes.
I mean, the condition, hey, this could be interpreted as a Benchy. That's not a very, very, very strict rule, but yeah.
I think Paul Poxtelis was suggesting for the Earth Challenge to 3D scan the Benchies and to have a criterion on, you do a comparison between the scan and the STL model, and just for every you sum up the distances between both models.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And sum that up, and who has the smallest sum has the best looking Benchy, because otherwise it's hard to judge. I don't know. I'll take a look at that as soon as I can do it. But there need to be. It's good that there are at least some rules, because that might be something interesting and could also spark some interesting ideas in that direction. Either how to print as fast as possible, or also what equipment you use for that. What material is best suited for that? Where are your bottlenecks?
Well, for PLA, it's going to be cooling. I can tell you that much. Cool. I tried, and it's PLA has a very, very low ceiling, high ceiling. You can't push PLA very far because your part just melts down.
There is. I already tried a bit of speed printing on my Voron, even though that's not my current task for it. But I have a couple of rolls of the how's it called, Tiamat 3D Nano Diamond PLA,
right? Yeah, the stuff that's supposed to crystallize.
That stuff prints so nice at fast speed. Way better than standard PLA. It gets hard really fast, and it's supposedly also made for printing fast. So pretty cool. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to comparing different materials and see what's best to be used for that application. But yeah, I'll post a link to the video and the speedboat race challenge down in the description for everyone who wants to submit their own speed Benchy.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you just can't compete with an Ender-3 anymore. You're gonna have to build something that's custom made for that, like your Voron V0 in that case. All right, and that is all the topics we had for today. It is 9:25 p.m. We're both getting tired. Thank you all so much for sticking around through this podcast. Thank you, Stefan, for taking the time.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you have questions for us to discuss, put them down into the YouTube comments or tweet at the Meltzone. If you want to support us, there are Patreon links for both of us down in the description.
All right. That's going to be it for today. Thank you all, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.